Hello, and welcome to Rock Your Block. Standing in for your regular host today, I am Lorrette Farris, co-founder of the Internet Back Office Systems and Services, or iBoss, an ecosystem developed to provide services and resources to companies raising capital. Joining me today is Chef Leslie Woodward, the founder and CEO of Edenesque, LLC, where she creates artisanal food products and offers farm-to-table catering and personal chef services. Today, we will gain a better perspective of raw foods, how important they are for our health, and the passion behind an entrepreneur poised to show the way. Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you, Lorette. I'm happy to be here.
I know you had a little bit of a trip in the weather headed down from New York to Maryland, but we're very pleased to have you here.
And the traffic was great.
Good. Leslie, let's start with, what are artisanal foods?
Well, artisanal foods are usually created by local food producers. And what I mean by that is that they usually gather their ingredients locally, working within season, usually creative products, hand crafted, and then also small batch, which means not a large batch or large processing. Usually they don't have any additives and no preservatives.
And so that being in this, if I get the terms right, holistic, raw sort of food space, but clearly not processed.
Correct.
So is that what Edenesque does? So if you'll explain to us, what does Edenesque do, and who is Chef Leslie Woodward?
Well, Edenesque is a socially conscious artisanal food creator committed to creating nutritious, delicious foods and having high integrity with the ingredients.
Okay.
Correct.
And how does Chef Leslie Woodward get to that? Well,
as a young child, I've always been interested in food, and one of my favorite activities outside of going to the zoo and whatnot was going to the grocery store. So I've always had a connection with food, and I wanted to use that as a gift. Growing up, I grew up in the church in Detroit, Michigan, and always in the kitchen. But one thing that I did notice is that a lot of my grandmother's friends were dying of particular diseases, sugar, had a lot of strokes, high blood pressure, etc. As I got older, I noticed that communities of color were more plagued with nutrition deficient diseases than other, and I got a little concerned, so I began to study. I wanted to know the sociology behind it, even the pathology behind it, but why is this happening? And what could we do, or what could I do to help alleviate those types of concerns? What I noticed was it's not the medication, it's not that allopathic medicine is bad, but a lot of things that we're doing, or a lot of diseases that we have, can be fixed using just with our diet, just making different choices or becoming conscious eaters. And I know there are a lot of factors that weigh into that, but I said, well, if I have this talent for creating good food, people say, oh, eating healthy is, that's not that good, and what am I supposed to do with that kale and whatever. How about we make nutritious, delicious, and that's what I started to just have a natural connection to.
And I'll tell you where that is so interesting is, there was the time where you thought vegans and people who wanted to talk about raw foods and holistic foods, that was almost a fad.
Right.
Well, I think we're so far out of that space, especially when you look at the big box stores, the big supermarkets are shopping more with local farmers. They're opening up additional aisles for raw foods. So Edenesque is already in a space that I believe has a lot of attention. What are some of the offerings that you have under Edenesque that fits in this space?
Well, again, this has been a passion of mine for almost 20 years. And so right now, some of the service that I offer are cold pressed juices, where all of the ingredients are sourced from our local farmers in the Hudson Valley. Since I'm from New York, that's what I would use. I do non-dairy milk products, and those include almond milk, cashew milk, hemp milk, oat groat milk, coconut milk, etc., and soon to expand to yogurt and kefir and ice cream. And all of those use no preservatives, no additives, or no cane sugar. The next thing I offer is, because I am a chef, is private chef services, where I do nutritious meal deliveries. I do nutritious counseling because of my holistic nutrition background, and cooking classes, private and corporate as well. So
that's just very interesting. Now, I'm going to add something you shared with me.
Right.
I understand you are also looking to open a couple of dessert stores that carry nutritious desserts. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely, and it's the Edenesque Frono Cafe, and I say Frono, we know what frozen yogurt is, but Frono is meaning that everything in the store will have no preservatives, no additives. Of course, it would be dairy free, and it would also be gluten free, no added cane sugar. So everything would be naturally sourced, and we will make nutritious desserts from there. And it would just be like, just think of a healthy Baskin-Robbins, if you will. So just wonderful non-dairy ice cream offerings, if you will, with using superfoods as the topping. So it's a place where you can have your guilty pleasure, but it would just be your non-guilty pleasure. You can come in and indulge, and it'll be okay too, knowing that we will have using the best ingredients that we can.
So, speaking of one who spent a lot of time in Carvel and Baskin-Robbins, calorie-wise, are the calories? It's one thing that the ingredients are more healthy.
Right.
What is how does calories play into that? So, in other words, I'm asking, can I eat more of those desserts?
Well, it will not have as many calories, or if we talk about calories, or as many empty calories. And then when we talk about sweeteners, it'll be low glycemic sweeteners. So even those with, that have a problem with processing sugar or have diabetes, they can come in and enjoy these products as well. So the calories probably will be a lot lower.
I can have more.
Because almond milk, if we make some from almond milk, the fat content is not as high, therefore the calories would not be as high either. So with that said, yes, there would be lower calories.
I think that's very
just
interesting.
As filling, though, because there's just satiating.
But there is that line that you use that I love. That I think you say something to the effect of nutritious yet delicious.
Making nutritious delicious.
Making nutritious delicious. I love that line. So I may sit at the table a little longer I can have a couple of extra. And so, again, I think because of what it is that we do at iBoss in helping companies sort of figure out these models, I think that the companies that are in these spaces with the more nutritious, more healthy, more holistic type foods, I think they are so well positioned because the general public today is much more cognizant of what it is they're putting in their bodies and trying to be more active and things of that nature. I understand you do a bit with farmer markets and things of that nature. Can you speak to the growth of what's happening in that space?
Well, over the past year, I did a lot of market research with my product, and I did cross between flea markets, outdoor flea markets, and farmers markets in New York City, the 5 boroughs, and also Westchester County. And I've seen an increase in not only artisanal food producers, or organic food producers, but also with the number of farmers markets that are available, that are here, the number of farmers, and the number of shoppers. So, a lot of space, that's their primary place to shop for their groceries and goods.
I think is really interesting. And again, because when I look at the big supermarkets, the one in my area, I'd probably say in the past 6 to 9 months, actually cleared out one whole aisle and grew their produce department. But the growth was a big section that they built for organic, foods. Now, one issue that a lot of the public talk about when you say organic and holistic is the expense, that all of a sudden it's a little more expensive than buying processed or products that have more. Can you speak to that?
Well, there are a couple of things. Interesting research showed that although traditional grocery spending remains stagnant, organic food products continue to rise 20 to 30% over the past 10 years each year. So there's been a steady growth and a continued growth. And a lot of shoppers, they say although they don't want to spend more on traditional products, when they go to choose the organic products, they understand and are willing to spend more on those products. But what I have to say to that is that some things might be a little bit more expensive, but if we balance it out, if you stop buying more of one thing, then perhaps that can balance it out your budget. But just as we spend, money on expensive shoes or whatnot, we have to put I guess we have to put emphasis on our values. So it's like we have to understand that this is our only tool, our body, this is our best friend, and our light and energy comes from this. And so therefore we have to take care of it. So, we understand what the consequences are from eating processed foods and additives and things with a lot of chemicals and refined products. And so therefore, we just have to choose to be healthier. And in the long run, if you eat those, eat healthier, then your medical bills may decrease as well.
It is very interesting now that I do pay a bit more attention to things that I'm buying. I will read the labels. I will put something down, especially when you see on the label it says, and others.
That's right.
What is an and other product?
Or things that I can't pronounce. So with the Edenesque products, the label is, the ingredients are around the front of the bottle. So for instance, with the honey and vanilla almond milk, it's honey, vanilla, raw organic almonds, and purified water. And that's it. The vanilla is vanilla bean, and the honey is procured from a local farmer in the Hudson Valley. So people know that this is all that I'm eating. This is it. This is a very clean product.
That's an interesting thought. I know we're getting ready to go on a break, but when we come back, I'd like to talk about the proprietary nature of what it is that you do. If it's all raw, organic, what happens in that proprietary space and how do you manage that? So we are going to take a short station break, then return with Leslie Woodward. Stay tuned, as you won't want to miss one word.
Food. It nourishes, brings us together, and adds flavor to life. That's why it's important to wash hands, surfaces, and fresh produce. Keep raw meat, poultry, and seafood separate from ready-to-eat foods like fruits and vegetables. And cook to proper temperatures using a food thermometer. Enjoy, and refrigerate leftovers within 2 hours. For more tips on safely preparing foods, visit homefoodsafety.org.
Welcome back. You are watching Rock Your Block. I'm your host today, Lorrette Farris, and my guest is Leslie Woodward, founder and CEO of Edenesque LLC. So Leslie, when we broke, you were explaining to me your product and the fact that, there aren't a lot of additional ingredients. In my head, the immediate thought I had was when you look at recipes for, processed foods, there is some secret sauce, that's hidden. With all natural products, is there any concern about someone getting hold of your recipe and creating the same thing that you do?
Well, I don't have that concern. And I think that we each have our own talents. But I do want complete transparency with my products and its preparation. I think that's the story behind it. And that's why my customers would be able to trust what it is that I produce.
Right.
And I'm here of service. So, you know, if customer, how did you make this and what's in it? There are no secrets.
Right.
It's just complete transparency, and I think that's how I would want to proceed.
So I guess in building out the brand and putting the person behind what you're doing, that probably goes a long way in the raw food business. That's very interesting. And there is another piece that you talk about, and that is the farm to table. I love the imagery of that. And I understand you also work with, do personal chef, and I'm assuming that farm to table plays a lot in that space. So can you speak to the clients you have that you prepare meals for in that whole farm to table space?
Yes, and I tell you, from the time I entered into the culinary food, this has just always been my specialty. So it's been over 15 years now that I've been doing farm to table type of cooking, where it's in seasons, usually only fresh ingredients, clean and simple type of meals, but yet still have a flair of elegance. And I think that that's important because that's where your flavor comes in. So a lot of my food, it's not hidden with a lot of seasonings. I just enhance what's already there. And the flavor and the nutritional value is at its utmost when you procure items within their season and in their region. So wherever you are, I think that our bodies respond. Our bodies respond better to when we eat that way. And I know we talked earlier about how as you transition it from season to season, just like the leaves change on the trees, our bodies begin to change. So as we go from summer to fall, if you notice, or you listen to your body, you'll have a craving for more root vegetables or braising techniques. And now that you'll see that you go from winter into spring, that we want something a little lighter. It's just because our body's needs are different during those times. So, you know, we may need more insulation or less of because the weather is warmer outside. So we need to eat according to nature. We need to eat what's in nature and according to what our bodies tells us that it needs at that time.
And so what type of clients do you cook for? Are you cooking for people that have special needs or just people like me who don't want to cook?
Well, both.
Okay.
Both, but I do have special needs clients. For instance, one of the areas I was passionate in, and one of the reasons why I wanted to become a private chef is that you come home from the doctor or from your naturopathic practitioner and they hand you a list of foods and say, you can have this, don't have that, and this would be best for you. And you look at it and say, wait a minute, I'm busy, or I'm convalescing, and how am I supposed to prepare that, and what do I do with it so I can have some variety, and how is it going to taste good? I don't even know what mung beans are and what to do with them. And so that's where I come in. So I will either take you to the grocery store just to show you some basic techniques on how to shop. People don't love it as much as I do. And then B, I will have private cooking lessons and just show you some quick and easy ways to prepare delicious meals at home for yourself and give you some skills there. And then I will just deliver nutritious meals to you. I have working with a client now who's gluten-free, vegan, low carb, sugar-free, dairy-free. And I've been working with her for many months now, and so I always have to keep those meals fresh and delicious because I don't want people to feel like they're on a diet or feel like I have to be restricted with my current diet. So
that's interesting when you say that, and as I hear you explaining it, there are many of us that probably want to, be able to cook more healthy or start eliminating things. I know a lot of people that are attempting to be gluten-free, things of that nature. I would imagine, and whether you're doing it now or if I'm giving you an idea, I would imagine that that kind of training could be significant via a virtual type setting. Is that something you're doing or thinking about doing?
I think I'm thinking about doing that. Just because there are so many people, even when they go to the farmer's market, they say, well, what do I do with all this different types of squash, and what is it, and how do I, so that, I think that would be very helpful for people. Again, I think with what I'm doing, and my passion is mainly to be of service to people and how I can help and have an impact into the world. And that's why I say Edenesque is socially conscious. Because you want to have a positive impact. And so by sharing and giving of these types of techniques and about eating and whatever my area of expertise is that is what is of utmost important.
Yeah, I tell you what has been so interesting to me, there was a brand of ice cream that I had to have every night. And it's like I had to have a pint of it every night. And so we know how bad that was because of all the fats. And then when I found out I could use frozen bananas to have almost the same taste and add what I wanted to it, almonds or anything else, all of a sudden, I'm having the similar quantity and just not the same poor effects. And I think that's what's happening to a lot of the public today. We are more conscious of what we should be doing, shouldn't be doing. You hear more often, oh, but Dr. Oz said, you know. So to have a platform where we could be provided with the right kind of information to help us along that track, I just think that that's a significant place. But even starting with the type of store that you're opening, it just opens the conscious more. Do you, I know that you do, farmer markets and things of that nature. Have you seen a change in questions or how people are approaching the products that you're able to sell in those markets today versus you mentioned you've been doing this for 15 years. Can you speak to the difference that you're seeing in the general public then versus now?
Well, I think that the general public is becoming more educated. Or at least have a need to feel well, or we've become more conscious about our food choices, and again, more conscious eaters. And with the product, and one of the reasons that led me to even open the store was the demand from the customers. You need to open the store. Where's your store? And before, when I remember I first started selling the almond milk, I think I was a little like, well, maybe this is a little weird to sell almond milk at this market, because it's unlike any other product. But there was such a curiosity and there was an interest. And then what I started to hear was, well, we like your product more because the products in the store, even this almond milk in the store, is readily available. My product doesn't have the carrageenan and the additives or the preservatives. The carrageenan has been, it's been said that can cause tumors or cancer or something of that nature. So just to have a clean product, and it helps them with their digestion. They can still, they can easily digest this product. And, and then a lot of say, well, what about yogurt? Well, can you create kefir? Well, can you create ice cream? So it's almost likened to the big box stores widening their aisles or offerings of organic products. Is because people are saying, hey, I want that. And so, and just like with me, hey, well, yeah, you're right. I can create all of these different products that are needed and are lacking in our stores. And not that there's not almond milk, but the almond milk are without all of these other things inside of it.
And I think that touches on what I had asked earlier about the proprietary nature of things. Again, it's one thing that there are different brands and varieties, but I think different chefs, different experiences bring a difference to the table. And I mean, you can have a McDonald's, a Wendy's, and the Burger King each on the, one corner in an area, but people are going to go, to one versus the other. And I just, again, think it's just very, from someone who doesn't enjoy cooking, to understand how one can see the value not only in cooking, but finding these raw and healthy and holistic products to put together. But for me, in the business I'm in, not only are you doing that, but you're living, or you're making a living doing it.
Correct.
So before we end, is there something that you can tell us? Is there a tidbit that you could put out there regarding sort of raw foods and how, people are looking at raw foods to replace medicine? And I may be using the wrong word, replace it, but the health consciousness of going that direction. I'll let you lead us out with that thought.
I think that every individual is different. And I know there are a lot of different diets, the paleo diet, Weight Watchers. There are a lot of different avenues that we can explore. And I say that put the gimmicks aside and just go back to the basics of eating. Right. If it comes from the earth, then eat it, and eat it within balance. And it's about creating a balanced diet. But even though the gluten-free is popular, then it may not be good for you. So we really have to take the time to, maybe go on a detoxification or a cleansing, just to do an elimination and just eliminate everything, and then put stuff back into our diet, the dairy and the wheat, and see how it affects us, so that way we know what our body needs. And once we do that, and go back to the basics and just eat from really the Garden of Eden, hence the name, Edenesque, then we can just work on what's best for us, and then live a life that's more healthier, or where it can be more in tune with what our needs are, and we're all eclectic. We're all very different.
I love that. Leslie, thank you so much for
being
here.
Thank you, Lorrette.
This was
my
very
pleasure.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for Rock Your Block. I pray you received information that resonates and a tip that you can use today. Have a fantastic day.